Hey guys, this week Steve Carter is back with us. Now, for those of you that are new to Northview, Steve has become one of our regular guest teachers. He lives in Phoenix, Arizona with his wife Sarah and their 2 kids, but professionally, he travels around the country speaking for churches and events. He's written a book called This Invitational Life and co-hosts a podcast called Home Team about the intersection of sports, faith, and culture. He's also starting a new online video platform called Desert Sessions that will feature his original content and teachings. As you can see, Steve's a really busy guy, so we're glad to have him this weekend. So would you join me in welcoming Steve Carter?
Hey, Northview, Steve Carter here, and I'm so excited to be back. I've missed you. I have missed you. And I got to tell you, what your family ministries are doing, your student ministries. I was on a Zoom call with all of these graduating seniors recently. It was phenomenal to kind of hear how these students are being raised up. And you got to join this thing called Family Night Live. You can go to familynightlive.com. It's bringing VBS to the streets, to the backyards, to your home. And I did this a number of years ago when I was a pastor in Southern California, and we saw tremendous growth. Some of these kids were experiencing the gospel for the very first time. Some families were experiencing true community for the first time. And so the team here at Northview will provide you with all the content. You just have to have an open heart to open up your backyard and be willing to serve. Go to familynightlive.com to learn more. Well, today we find ourselves back in the series called One Another. Now, you got to understand that this one another phrase, it's used throughout the New Testament. See, the idea was simply this, that the primary purpose of the local church was one anothering one another. Andy Stanley taught me that. And as I began to read the New Testament, you see this over and over and over again. And today, I want us to walk through one passage, one of the one another's, and it's simply this: outdo one another in showing honor. Outdo. It's a little bit competitive. Like, our goal is to outdo one another in showing honor. So what I want to do is I want to unpack 3 questions, 3 simple questions. What is honor? Like, literally, what is it? And who do I honor? And how do I honor? Now, you got to understand that there's many of us right now who have to discover that honor is a lost art. Back in the ancient times, there was this honor code, kind of this sense that everybody lived by. And so when we gave honor, it was like people who were living up to this code. But what I want to do, because I think for many of us, we feel like we are living in a world without honor, I want to unpack what honor truly is. Now, in Hebrew, the word honor is kabed. Kabed. The whole passage in the 6th commandment, which is like honor your father and mother, it's kabed. Now, kabed is really closely connected to the word for heavy or glory, and it's the word kaved. Same letters, literally in Hebrew, same letters, but there's one little variation, small variation. And so in the Hebrew mindset, what honor is treating someone with the weightiness and gravity for who they truly are. See, there was this connectedness within the Hebrew people that every person had this sense of profound weightiness. And when you honored someone, you honored that weightiness. But let's take it even farther. You know the word curse in Hebrew? The word curse in Hebrew is kalel. And from kalel, you get kal, which literally means to make light of. To make light of. And so whenever we curse someone, whenever we find ourselves kind of making light of someone, man, something happens. See, in a world without honor, we make light of someone for who they truly are. This is whenever we curse someone. Whenever we just dishonor someone. Whenever we shame someone. Whenever we kind of look at someone as kind of less than. We go against what Paul was telling the church in Rome, the Christ followers in Rome, to outdo each other in showing honor. When we curse or when we make light of someone, we've really got to wrestle. We really got to wrestle because we're not seeing someone for who they truly are. So let's ask that question. So who are they truly? Who are they truly? The truth is, we are all image bearers. Image bearers. We learn this right from the beginning of the Bible. In the book of Genesis, God says, I've put my image in you. Every one of us, whether we're believers of Christ or not, we all have characteristics of God within us. Every person was shaped and formed in God's image. And so we've got to understand that. Even someone that maybe we dislike, maybe someone who's hurt us, maybe someone that honestly we just can't stand. The truth is, they're an image bearer. They're an image bearer. So let's go to the next question. Who do I honor? Who do I honor? Because typically we only honor people who are kind of above us. Maybe above us in what they do, above us in their position or authority, above us in some sense of respect. But Peter, who walks so closely with Jesus, he wants the church to understand who they're supposed to honor. And look what it just says in 1 Peter 2:17, honor everyone. Honor everyone. The way I think about this, because I think those two words are so powerful, if you're really wanting to understand what this means, is honor everyone. And if you meet someone who doesn't fit the everyone criteria, then you're off the hook. Then you are literally off the hook. You don't have to show that person honor if they don't fit in the category of everyone. But the truth is, that's not possible. And us as Christ followers, people of Northview, if Peter were standing right here, he'd look at you and he'd say, even in a world without honor, the church is supposed to honor everyone always. Quick time out. I got to ask you, is there anyone in your life you are struggling to show honor to? Anyone in your life? Maybe it's someone in your family right now. A sibling, a cousin, a parent. Maybe it's someone in your workplace. You've been kind of doing some Zoom meetings and it's just been something that it's just hard for you to showcase honor to that person. To kind of really speak to them and understand that they are weighty because they are image bearers, that God made them, God formed them, God shaped them. Maybe it's someone in your neighborhood. Maybe you turn on the television and it's someone on the news. Maybe it's someone in culture. And little by little, we have to ask ourselves, are there any people, maybe it's based on skin color, maybe it's based on where they are in culture, maybe it's just where they are at your work, but are there walls that you have built in your heart to say, I can't show honor? I am choosing to make light of the image of God that is within you. Because literally, that's what it is when we choose to not outdo each other in showing honor. That's what happens when we choose to only honor a few people. And this is the goal. This is the goal with every one of us, to honor everyone, always. Now, let's take this even farther. How do I honor? I mean, we talked about what is honor. We talked about who we are to honor, and that's everyone. Well, how do I honor? And what I want to do is I'm going to get really, really practical here. I want to get really, really practical because I think for many of us, we're like, well, how am I supposed to do this? I mean, what if someone I just don't agree with? How am I supposed to show them honor? Can I just tell you that honor is more about behavior than feeling. Behavior. See, honor is actually literally an action that we demonstrate. If you've ever been in an airport and you're seated and you're waiting for the next few minutes to board the plane, and the plane finally shows up and people begin to get off the plane, and you see a number of soldiers getting off that plane, there's something inside of you that goes, I'm supposed to stand and just say, thank you. Why? Because you're showing honor. You're showing honor. If there's this behavior, there might be a moment where you have been feeling so tired trying to get all of your family to the gate on time. But all of a sudden you see these people and you go, man, I just got to show them respect for the weightiness for who they are. I was actually pulling in today to Northview and people were dropping off items for the food pantry. And as I'm walking in, this woman named Lisa sees me and she asks me about my day. She starts talking to me and she just said, hey, can I just pray for you? And she just begins to pray. And she didn't have to do that. But it was like this little action where she was just like, hey, I just want to bless you. I just want you to know that you matter. I just want to actually serve you. And in that, I was so moved by it. Because so often we can go, I'm just going to move on. I'm just going to kind of move. This is more about behavior. There are times where you're not going to want to show honor. But the call, the Christian call, if we are really believing that the primary activity of the local church is one another, man, we got to show honor. And it is a behavior that we choose to do because we believe that it's the right thing. Now, let's take it even farther. Honor is more about characteristics than achievements. More about characteristics than achievements. And we're really, really good at finding the achievements, celebrating the performance. But can I tell you, honestly, I was a soccer coach for a kindergarten team. We were called the Orange Monkey Fireballs. We went undefeated. Even though they say they didn't keep score, I kept score because that's just how competitive I am. But I did something with the parents. I gave the parents every weekend a number of a player that was not their child and a note card. And I asked them, hey, will you do me a favor? Would you just write out something that you see in this child? And at the end of the game, when they're eating their little snacks, I want to read these cards and I want to celebrate. I want to show honor to these kids. I kid you not. The first game, I got these cards and all parents knew how to do was celebrate achievements. Hey, Timmy, great job with that goal. Hey, Bobby, way to protect the goal when you were playing goalie. And I looked at them and I said, oh no, you are just honoring their achievements, not actually the unique characteristics. And so I took the parents aside and I said, hey, before the next game, I took them aside and said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be looking for what makes this child unique, what sets them apart. Have you ever been around someone who does sculptures? They're given a massive slab of marble, but a great artist like Michelangelo once was interviewed and they asked him, hey, how do you create the sculptures that you create? And he looks at this massive slab of marble and he goes, it's just right here. All I got to do is cut away the dead pieces. It's like he could see it. He could see the sculpture of David or the Pieta that he was going to make. He could see it. And can you imagine if an entire church, Northview, everywhere you went, whether it was to the grocery store, whether it was to your work, whether it was with the church, whether it was at a basketball game, wherever you were, you had the eyes to begin to discover the sculpture, the art, the image of God within another. I mean, it would be an absolute game changer. And from week 2 to week 3 to week 4, the cards that these parents started to write and the characteristics that they began to call out was so powerful. I'd just be able to read them. And it was like these kids were feeling seen, not for their performance and not for their achievements, but actually seen for their uniqueness, their divine uniqueness. Here's how you do it. Whenever I'm out in culture, it doesn't matter if I'm at like a restaurant, it doesn't matter if I'm in the airport, it doesn't matter if I'm like just walking in a church, it doesn't matter where I am. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm mining for the imago Dei, the idea that we're image bearers, the unique characteristic. I'm mining for the fruit of the Spirit that I see in another. You know, that whole concept that if the Spirit of God is alive in them, they're going to teach you about love, joy, peace, and patience, and kindness, and goodness, and gentleness, and self-control. I'm looking for that. Or I'm mining through and looking for the spiritual gifts. And when I can see someone, when I can truly see who they are, I'll often walk up to them and just almost take a moment to say, hey, can I just tell you something? Just what I saw about, man, what separates you from, in my opinion, so many others, is you taught me what humility looks like. Or you taught me what goodness looks like. Or you showcase what mercy looks like when it's demonstrated on behalf of another. So honor. Honor's more about behavior than feeling, because sometimes we don't want to. But it's us showing respect for God's creation. Honor is more about characteristics than achievements. We got to kind of be those artists that are kind of looking through and finding the uniqueness. And honor is more about them than you. It's more about them than actually me. And I don't know about you, but I struggle with this. Because there's just this gravitational pull often for me to make things about me. And then you flip through the New Testament and you recognize, man, when it's talking about honoring everyone, it's actually trying to lift people up. Paul writes about this in Philippians chapter 2. He says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. Continues on. And it says this, not looking to your own self-interest, but each of you to the interests of the others. And we've probably all experienced where somebody had an agenda for when they were trying to talk to us. It really wasn't about you. It was about their agenda. Or maybe you've experienced someone just you not kind of living up to their expectations in your performance. And so all of a sudden they're like, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. But this kind of living is so much different. And here's the reason why. Next verse, it says this, in your relationships with one another, have the same mindset as Christ Jesus. And if you think about Christ did nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Christ seated at the right hand of the Father, looking down at a broken and messy world, had all of this power as the Son of God, decided to come down to this earth and to model how we are to live in the way that he served, in the way that he loved, in the way that he showcased honor. And the way that he did that is he valued others above himself. And in every relationship, it didn't matter if it was the woman at the well, it didn't matter if it was a Samaritan, it didn't matter if it was a child, it didn't matter if it was someone who was a disciple, he showed them honor. And the invitation for each one of us is to model that. And here's what I need you to discover. Is that when you actually live your life where you value others, you lift others up, when you live your life actually understanding that intrinsically there is something weighty about them, you lift them up and you begin to serve and love and honor. You know what happens? Humility. Because humility is the byproduct of honor. Humility. Because when you're showing honor, what's actually being shaped and formed within you is humility. I think every one of us wants to be known as humble. I think every one of us actually really wants that said of us. But when you actually showcase honor, you're actually lifting someone up. When you actually showcase honor, you are valuing someone else above yourself. When you actually showcase honor, you're not living with selfish ambition because your eyes aren't focused on you. Your eyes are focused on not the achievements, but the image of God in another. And for me, that is so, so powerful. But think about it. If you flipped it, what if you didn't have the same mindset as Christ? What if you actually lived your life with selfish ambition and vain conceit? What if you didn't value other people and you went on social media and all you tried to do was tear them down? And you didn't have the kind of conscious choice and decision to look for the divine. All you tried to do is like, I'm right, they're wrong. I'll tell you what you will get. Pride. And everybody knows that pride comes before the fall. But in the scriptures, humility comes from the honor. And the more prideful you are, the more fallen you will live. The more isolated you will live. The more fractured your relationships you will live. But the people who are showcasing honor to everyone, there's something about them. There's something about them that people go, gosh, that person is different. That person is different. In a culture right now, we love to build people up and tear them down.